I never thought much about my age until one day, during a casual conversation, a younger woman at a coffee shop asked me how old I was. It wasn't a question I was expecting, and for a split second, I felt a twinge of discomfort. But then I realized something important. How I responded would say more about me than the number itself ever could. "You're good at guessing ages, right?" I asked, flashing a playful smile. She chuckled and took the bait, estimating a number that was a few years younger than my actual age. I nodded, close enough. It wasn't about being deceptive, it was about steering the conversation into a space where I felt in control, where the number didn't define me. You see, when someone asks your age, especially when you are a bit older than them, they are not just looking for a number, they are testing your confidence, your maturity, your ability to handle yourself. It's not the age that matters, but how you carry it. And so, I decided early on that I'd never let that question catch me off guard again. Let me share a story from a few years back. I was at a friend S' wedding, and there was this vibrant, charming woman, easily 10 years younger than me, who kept glancing in my direction. We eventually started chatting, and before long the age question came up. I smiled, leaned in a bit, and said, "I am old enough to know better, but still young enough to do it anyway." She laughed, and just like that, the question of age disappeared into the background. It's all about confidence. People can sense insecurity like a shark senses blood in the water. If you are nervous or defensive about your age, it's going to show. But if you own it, if you frame it in a positive light, it becomes an asset. Think of it this way. Every year adds another layer to your character, another story to tell, another experience that shapes who you are. When I was younger, I used to think that getting older meant losing something: looks, vitality, maybe even relevance. But what I've come to realize is that it is the opposite. You gain so much with each passing year. Perspective, patience, a deeper understanding of what truly matters. And that's something no amount of youth can replace. So when that young woman asked my age at the coffee shop, I didn't hesitate. I joked with her, made light of the situation, and kept the conversation moving. By the time we finished our coffee, my age was the last thing on her mind. She was more interested in the stories I had to share, the experiences I'd lived through, and the confidence I exuded. This isn't to say that age doesn't matter at all. In certain situations it can. But what matters more is how you present yourself. Are you someone who's comfortable in their own skin? Do you see your age as a badge of honor or as something to hide? The answer to those questions will shape how others perceive you. Here's a little tip: next time someone asks your age, flip the script. Ask them why it matters. Not in a confrontational way, but in a curious, engaging manner. You'll often find that the question itself isn't really about the number, but about the qualities that come with it: confidence, maturity, wisdom. And don't feel pressured to reveal your age too early in a conversation. Build a connection first. Let the person see who you are, what you stand for, what you have achieved. Once they read drawn into your personality, the age difference becomes just another interesting detail, rather than a defining factor. One more thing: always frame your age positively. I've had the privilege of experiencing things that only time can teach. I have been around long enough to know what really matters. Statements like these show that you are proud of your age, that you see it as an asset rather than a liability. It is all about perspective. As I left the coffee shop that day, I felt a sense of satisfaction, not because I had cleverly dodged the age question, but because I had turned it into an opportunity to showcase who I really am. And in the end, isn't that what matters most? Now, for those of you watching, I want you to take this lesson to heart. The next time someone asks your age, don't just give them a number. Give them a glimpse of who you are: confident, self-assured, and proud of every year you've lived. And if you found this story helpful, why not share it with a friend? Leave a comment below. Let me know how you handle the age question. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories and advice. Until next time, remember, age is just a number, but confidence is timeless. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I remember the day I stumbled upon the truth as if it were yesterday. Lisa and I had been married for nearly 20 years, 2 decades of what I believed was a strong, committed partnership. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I never doubted her loyalty. I never thought I'd be that guy, the one who finds out his wife has been unfaithful through something as mundane as a text message. It all started one lazy Saturday afternoon. Lisa had gone out for her usual errands, and I was at home, tinkering with the lawnmower in the garage. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, buzzing incessantly with notifications. It wasn't too unusual. Lisa had always been popular among friends, the kind of person everyone turns to for advice or just a chat. But this time something felt off. The constant buzzing got to me, and before I knew it, I was standing over her phone, curiosity getting the better of me. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I did, and what I found shattered me. Explicit texts, photos, all from a man much younger than us, someone I didn't recognize. My hands shook as I scrolled through the messages, each one a stab to the heart. I felt sick, betrayed, like the ground had fallen out from under me. This wasn't just a fling, it had been going on for months. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone in the world, was living a double life. As I sat there, paralyzed with anger and disbelief, I knew I had to do something. But what? Confront her? Pack my bags and leave? No. That would be too easy, too quiet. After all the years I'd given her, after the sacrifices I'd made, I deserved better than to just walk away. I wanted her to feel the pain I was feeling, and I wanted the world to know what she had done. That S when the idea started to form. Lisa's 50th birthday was coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'd planned a big party. Friends, family, everyone who mattered to us would be there. It was supposed to be a celebration of her life, her accomplishments, and our love. I decided that would be the perfect moment to reveal the truth, to show everyone the real Lisa. I spent the next 2 weeks preparing. Every night after she went to bed, I'd stay up late working on my plan. I gathered evidence screenshots of texts, copies of photos, all the proof I needed to expose her affair. Then I created a PowerPoint presentation. Slide after slide of the incriminating messages, interspersed with pictures of us over the years, happy moments that now felt like lies. I even found a way to get in touch with the younger man, a former employee of mine, someone I had trusted. He had no idea what was coming. On the day of the party, I was a bundle of nerves. Lisa was excited, oblivious to what was about to happen. She spent the morning getting ready, smiling at me as if nothing were wrong. It was almost unbearable, but I kept my cool, pretending everything was fine. The party started off perfectly. Guests arrived, gifts were exchanged, and the atmosphere was joyful. I played the doting husband, making sure everyone was having a good time, all the while knowing what was about to unfold. When it was time for the cake, I stood up to give a speech. I could see the love in Lisa's eyes as she watched me, surrounded by friends and family. It was almost enough to make me change my mind almost. But the pain in my chest, the betrayal that still felt fresh, pushed me forward. Before we cut the cake, I began, I want to share something with all of you, a special presentation I have prepared for Lisa's 50th birthday. It is a little trip down memory lane. Everyone clapped and cheered, not suspecting a thing. I connected my laptop to the projector, and the first slide appeared on the screen, a photo of us on our wedding day, young and in love. The guests sighed and smiled, nostalgic for those early days. Then the next slide appeared, and the next. Explicit messages, photos of Lisa with the younger man. Gasps echoed through the room as the realization hit. Lisa's face went pale. She tried to speak, to stop me, but it was too late. The truth was out, and there was no turning back. As the presentation ended, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a manila envelope. Lisa, I am filing for divorce, I said, my voice steady but cold. You've betrayed me, and you've betrayed everyone here who trusted and loved you. The room was silent, the atmosphere heavy with shock and disbelief. Lisa's family looked at her with a mix of pity and disappointment, while my own relatives stood by me, offering their support. I turned on my heel and walked out, leaving her to deal with the aftermath. In the weeks that followed, Lisa tried to reach out, begging for forgiveness, but I wasn't interested. She admitted her wrongdoing, expressed regret, but the damage was done. Our marriage was over, and I had no desire to fix it. The younger man, well, he disappeared from our lives just as quickly as he had entered, too ashamed to face the fallout. Now, looking back, I sometimes wonder if I went too far. Exposing her in front of everyone like that was brutal, and maybe a more private approach would have been kinder. But at the time, all I could think about was the pain she had caused me, and I wanted her to feel the same. If there's one thing I have learned from all this, it is the importance of communication. If something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore it. Talk to your partner, seek help if needed, but don't let it fester until it's too late. And if you find yourself in a situation like mine, remember that revenge might feel good in the moment, but it won to heal the hurt. Only time and maybe a bit of distance can do that. Thanks for listening to my story. If you found it helpful or relatable, leave a comment below. Share your thoughts or your own experiences with betrayal. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more stories and advice. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember trust is fragile, and once broken, it is hard to mend. You know, it's funny how the little things often have the biggest impact. I used to think that grand gestures and big surprises were the keys to keeping a relationship strong. But over time, I realized it is the subtle, everyday touches that really make a difference. It started with a conversation I had with a buddy of mine, John. We were talking about relationships, as guys sometimes do after a couple of beers. He told me something that stuck with me. He said, "You know, it's not about what you say or do, it's about how you make her feel." At first I didn't really get it, but then he explained. He mentioned how there are 7 key spots on a woman's body that, when touched, can make her feel closer to you. Now, I am no expert, but John was pretty convincing. He talked about how these touches release oxytocin, that bonding hormone, which helps create a deeper connection. I was skeptical, but curious enough to give it a shot. So I started with something simple, her arm. Next time we were watching TV, I just gently ran my fingers along the inside of her arm. I didn't think much of it, but I noticed her leaning into me a bit more. It was like she felt a little more at ease, a little more connected. Then there's the small of the back. We were out at a party, and as we walked through the crowd, I placed my hand there, guiding her gently. It wasn't much, just a subtle touch, but she smiled at me. That kind of smile that makes you feel like the most important person in the world. Behind the knees, now that S1 I wouldn't have thought of. But one evening we were just sitting on the couch, and I gave it a try. I lightly touched the back of her knees, and she giggled, surprised but happy. It's a tender spot, one that's sensitive but also comforting when touched the right way. The palms of the hands were another surprising one. One morning, while she was making coffee, I took her hand and gently traced the lines on her palm. It wasn't about reading her future or anything like that, just a simple touch. But it seemed to bring us a little closer. Her eyes softened, and she gave me that look, the one that says she feels safe and loved. The neck and ears are more obvious, but they are still powerful. The next time we were out on a date, I gently touched her neck while we talked. It wasn't much, just a light brush, but she seemed to melt a little, like she felt more connected to me in that moment. And the ears, well, whispering something sweet, followed by a gentle touch, always seems to do the trick. It's like it sends a shiver down her spine, a good one, making her feel more attracted and connected. And lastly, the soles of the feet. This one took me a while to try because, well, it felt a bit strange. But one night, while giving her a foot rub, I focused a little more on the soles. She relaxed completely, almost as if all the stress from the day just melted away. It wasn't just about relaxation, though it was about feeling cared for, about knowing that I was paying attention to even the smallest details. I didn't expect these small touches to make such a difference, but they did. It's not about manipulation or trying to get something in return, it's about connection. These touches, these small moments, they create a bond that words sometimes can tee. So if there is one piece of advice I do give, it is this: don't underestimate the power of touch. Those little moments, those simple gestures, they can mean more than you think. Give it a try. Start with something small, like her arm or the small of her back, and see how it makes her feel. See how it makes you feel too. You might be surprised at how something so simple can bring you closer together. And if you were watching this and thinking, hey, maybe I should try that, I'd say go for it. Touch is a powerful thing. It's not about grand gestures or over-the-top romance. Sometimes it's the smallest touch that leaves the biggest impact. Give it a shot and let me know how it goes. Maybe, just maybe, it'll make your relationship that much stronger. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story. If you found this helpful, don't forget to drop a comment below and share your own experiences. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more stories and advice like this. Until next time, take care, and remember it is the little things that matter the most.